What is up, Jags fans? Man, it feels like we have so much to talk about, even though we just talked Jags like a week ago. If you don't know, we do live shows at least Tuesdays, many other times. Good news about the live shows is that we do get fan interaction. So get in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the Jaguars movements. I figured since there wasn't that much going on with the Jags that we would kind of branch out into also the AFC South, because that also affects us as Jaguar fans. Texans doing the most, definitely, in the first 2 days. But get in the comments. Let me know what you think. There's definitely some rumors going on that I would like to address. Okay, so we're going to talk Jags. Obviously, Juwan Taylor. We're going to talk about things that may be circulating on the rumor mill. Okay, before we get to all that, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If this is your first time with us, glad you're here. If you're watching this on VOD or listening to the podcast, come join the conversation Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. You can also find the podcast on Spotify, Twitter, Instagram. I got something plugging back in here. All right. So make sure to follow and all that stuff. Get into the comments. Let me know what you think. So the first thing that I want to talk about is obviously Dewey Wingard, right? Everyone wants to talk about Dewey. And here's the reason why everyone wants to talk about Dewey, and I completely get it. In 2020, everybody wanted to get rid of Dewey. Like, everybody wanted to get rid of him. They thought he was terrible. He was getting starting reps. Even in 2022, he was playing, getting starter reps with Urban Meyer. So everyone was like sick of him. They wanted to move on from Dewey, and they wanted to just like clean slate, Doug Peterson come in, which I understand. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that you have a guy who, Tony Khan, who it lives and dies by the analytics, is re-signing a player who the analytics tell you not to keep, right? If you look at his you know me, guys. I like PFF. I'm an analytics guy too, all right? I like analytics as much as the next guy. But I also will say you have to trust the eyeball test. So they went against the analytics. The PFF grades for Dewey were not good. Decent tackler, but terrible in coverage. And I understand you can kind of play in that box role as a safety. But really where he's coming back is like the special teams captain, that guy. And there was a certain element of when he was on the field, explosive plays would happen, like whether it was forced fumbles or, a big hit, right? So anything like that, it's good to see that Dewey was involved in those plays. Now, we haven't seen the number come back yet. Now, that could completely change the whole scenario. Now, normally when you're talking about a player who's going to be making under, $4 or $5 million, then you don't really care too much about what that number is, because it's like he's less than 5. But when you're in the Jag situation, like, we need to kind of nickel and dime a bit for guys that aren't starters. Okay, I know that we've gotten ourselves in a good cap position with the restructures of the guys that proved it last year on their deals. But you are guaranteeing now the full length of those contracts. So I get the sentiment that we have money, but at the same time, we don't have money. And I get the salary cap as a myth, but at the same time, it's not. I know it's confusing and contrarian. Let's get to the comments, all right? First one in the chat, Nolly Full Cap with the Blake Bortles emojis. Now, Nolly Full Cap can spam the Blake Bortles emojis because Nolly is a channel member. So we love Nolly because Nolly is amazing and has been a channel member for a long, long time. DJM says Jason's son. We love DJM because DJM comments on every show because he's here with every show. So if you're a Jags fan or a football fan, consider setting an iPhone alarm or hitting the notification bell so you get a notification when we go live, because it's usually Tuesdays. Sometimes we throw in Fridays. During the season, we do multiple shows a week. Not a lot to talk about right now. I am on Twitch for those that are also bored like me with football. I'm on Twitch. So if you're into that type of thing, do some gaming on there. The link to my Twitch is in the video description. Just click on that, subscribe. I mean, that would be nice. Just go ahead and subscribe. Even if you don't listen, if you like the channel and you're not into Twitch and any of that stuff, just download the app, subscribe, and then download the app. It would help me out. Appreciate that. Corey T, who is the absolute man, the main benefactor of this show, Corey came over today and hooked me up with my computer. He hooked me up with a new CPU, and he hooked me with a new graphics card. So thank you, Corey. I talk about Corey all the time. Want to give him a public shout out because if it wasn't for Corey T, I would not be able to be doing this. So thank you so much. Nolly Full Cap says Dewey's back. That's why it's the first thing we talked about, Nolly. I know you said that first. Jag Gator says, will Cam Robinson be ready? Seems like we are thin at O-line. It's a great question. What about Ben Barch? Will he be ready? I mean, his injury seemed earlier in the year. Would love to have him back, right? Because I don't know the situation with Shatley yet. DJM says, I was watching UCF's video before I got the noti you were live. Oh, dang. You know, I did not see that notification for his video. But the good news about his is you can go back and watch it. So that's the good news. And I plan on going back and watching it probably as soon as this ends. And you know what will happen is, like, we'll end up saying the exact same things. We'll, like, literally end up saying the exact same things. Brett Zimmerman says, what's up? Hey, Jags United. What's up, Brett? DJM says, I'm waiting for us to break the internet by a trade for Aaron Donald. I like it, DJ. He says, fingers crossed. That would be beautiful. The Roy Robertson Harris, though. They brought him back. And what about Calais Campbell? We're going to talk about Calais Campbell. We are going to talk about Calais Campbell. Not yet. I want to talk about a couple other things first. But Calais Campbell? Brett says, just got off work in time for the stream. Heck yeah, Brett. Jeff Singer says, Duval. Let's freaking go, Jeff. Glad you're here, brother. Heat Nation says, first stream, and I love it. Heat Nation, I'm glad that you're here, and I love it. I hope you can notice that Orlando Magic jersey in the background. Although we aren't huge rivals because the Magic haven't been good in a long time. But if we're ever good, I'm coming after you, Heat Nation. I do like the Heat. I really like Eric Spoelstra. I really like him as a coach. Pat Riley. Who doesn't like Pat Riley? Dwayne Wade. I know he's not there anymore, but, like, you know, even Jimmy Butler. I like the Heat. I'm just a Magic fan first. Richard Bueller. Are we going to be able to bring back Arden Key? I don't think so. Now, I think Arden Key is going to be just like Juwan Taylor. Just got priced out of the situation. I mean, I saw, I have it on my scroll here. I was reading on Jaguars Reddit. Like, I think, like, there was, like, someone tweeted that there was, like, 6 or 7 teams interested in Arden Key. If there's 6 or 7 teams interested in Arden Key, there's no way the Jags bring him back because you got to think a couple of those are going to have him penciled in for a starter role. There's no way all 6 or 7 people have Arden Key penciled in as a rotational D end. Like, I know that's an important position, but if there's 7 people, like, there's going to be somebody who's going to plan on using him more and pay him more than the Jags can, would be my initial guess. Now, maybe the coaches like Arden Key and they see things inside the locker room that we don't see. They see things at practice that we don't see. And they're going to prioritize bringing him back. That would be interesting to see if that happens. But if we're looking at just play alone, I would just think someone's going to go out there and pay more, similarly to Juwan Taylor. Jaggernaut says, hey, Jags United. What's up, Jaggernaut? He says, hope all is good. What's up, Jags Nation? All is good with me, man. I'm off this week. We're going to be doing something fun tomorrow, so be looking out. It's going to be, I'm not telling you, it's a surprise. Nolly Full Cab, we should get a comp pick for Key if he signs a big deal, so it's not a total loss. We didn't get one for Chris Manhertz, who signed with the Broncos. Now, I know that's not a big deal. I actually don't know what the rule is on a comp deal, on how much it is. That's actually, let's look it up. NFL comp pick criteria. I don't know. When awarding compensatory picks, the NFL uses a formula that accounts for a player's average salary per year, snap count, and postseason awards. The exact specifics of the formula are confidential. Really? It's pathetic. But we do know it takes into consideration a player's history of playing time. All right, so it sounds like playing time is a big part of it, and seeing how Juwan Taylor played all of our snaps. Jagator says, I love this wide receiver class. For rounds 2 through 4, I would honestly cut Agnew and get a guy like Tillman in the draft. Let ETN return kicks. You haven't heard a lot of that. It makes sense, but I just haven't heard a lot of it, of ETN returning kicks. Maybe that's where we're at. Cardiac Cats, who is a channel member. What up, Cardiac? Says there's a list on Over the Cap. It's a compensatory picks under the draft tab. Okay. All right. I mean, listen, we probably won't get one for Arden Key. That's the bottom line for all of you that are hoping to get one for Arden Key. I mean, Juwan Taylor, yeah. I mean, it's a mega deal. And I don't honestly know. Like we had talked. Look, I'm wrong all the time, right? I thought Roy Robertson Harris was going to get cut. So the fact he got an extension, I'm wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. But I was early on predicting Juwan Taylor getting a massive contract. 3/4 through the year when he hadn't missed a single snap and he was pass blocking, I was like, no way, this guy's coming back. And look, I mean, he took this is his last year. He had to make money. So good job for him. I'm happy for him. I tweeted earlier, like, I'm never going to be mad at a player for making money. Even these guys, like, have to pick, right? So, like, between a place they like to go and the most money. I don't blame them for taking money. So seeing Juwan Taylor get the money, I know he's got the Jags tattoo. I know all that. But listen, good for him, man. Good for him. I hope he does well there. I don't know. Hope he does well. They got to spend money up there. I mean, they're in Hail Mary mode for sure. And I want to get some more of the AFC South, but I want to get your thoughts on Juwan Taylor before we move on to Xavier Thomas, who the Jags have been rumored to be interested in at defensive back. We're going to take a look at him in a second. Daniel Greer says compensatory picks for trades, but a free agents just go. Well, then how did the Jags get a pick for Juwan Taylor? Maybe I misread that. GNAT says, Coach, what, Mr. Trent, hey, yeah, what's up? I'm glad everybody's here. Talking Jags. Alec Wilson, yo, I want Slay so bad. It probably won't happen. I can pray. All right, maybe that's a good transition. I don't think they're getting Slay. I don't think so. But it does look like they're getting this guy, Xavier Thomas. And the Jags don't have a lot of room to make moves in free agency. So if they're looking at these guys and it's being rumored, there's probably a good chance that they're coming because they're going to be very, very asserted in their efforts with their free agents. So if they identified Xavier Thomas at 5'10", 205, 205 at 5'10" is thick. Only 27 years old. If you look at his snaps by position here, you can see that he played most of his snaps from the slot, right? So this tells us multiple things. They're obviously interested in going after a free agent nickel corner, and they're comfortable moving Darius Williams to the outside. And we kind of figured that was going to happen, but I mean, this is giving us proof here. I mean, this guy is playing most of his snaps from the nickel position. If we take a look at his grades and stats, he only played in 9 games. Okay, so we didn't play weeks 1 through 9, played weeks 9 through 18. And you can see, as the season went on, this is what's good to love about PFF, is as the season goes on, he starts playing better and better and better. If he's coming off of an injury, then that's kind of what you want to see. And not only does his defensive grade get better every week, but his coverage grade, which is probably more important when you're a nickel corner, pretty good here. My favorite stat about him, and listen, I watched a lot of Texans film. We broke down the Texans film twice this year, obviously. I didn't notice this guy a single time. Now, he might have only played once against us because he only played 9 games. But what I do like, even again, only 9 games. I understand that, but I do like 27 targets, 14 receptions. That's a 51.9 reception percentage. That's really good. That's really good. And I know stats can lie. I talk about that all the time. I mean, look, week 15, 1 target, 0 receptions. That's going to help his average. Week 12, 4 targets, 1 reception. It just seems like every week he's doing better. Week 18, 7 targets, 3 receptions. I mean, that's probably what they're looking at with the analytics. Yards per reception, 6.4. And again, I know he's playing in the slot, so a lot of these underneath routes, these drags, these quick outs, these slants don't go for big yardage very often, but still, I like it. The longest he gave up was a 14-yard catch. One pass breakup. You'd like to see a little bit more than that. But I don't know. Listen, we just need a guy that can kind of play in this. I mean, the slot corner is just so much different than the outside corner. It's a totally different position. So can Darius Williams handle the outside corner on an everyday situation? That's going to be the big question. I mean, what your slot corner is going to play max 65% of the snaps, right? Like max 65%. So what I think the bigger question is can Darius Williams handle that outside corner job? And he looked like toward the end of the year that he could, but it is an interesting question because he hasn't ever done it, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I thought he played nickel corner in St. Louis. Patrick Jackson is in the chat. Patrick, you need to go to bed. If you don't know, Patrick Jackson lives over the pond. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you off this week? I'm off this week. Maybe you're off this week. I doubt it. Oh, man, Patrick. I'm super excited that Patrick's here. I'm super excited. Duval, sorry I'm late. I was watching Sounds of the Jaguars. That's what Patrick said. Yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but I'm going to. It's okay. You can be late, but go to bed. It's on VOD and podcast. But thank you. I really hope Walker Little plays big for us next year and that our D takes a step forward. I'm all for an interior defensive tackle first pick. Me too. Me too, Jag. Alec. Yo! Okay, I read that one already. Jag Gator says, I could be wrong, but I thought I heard Doug say he wants to get ETN on special teams, hinting that Agnew would get cut. That doesn't make sense. I didn't hear that, but usually it's pretty easy to connect the dots with these guys. Cardiac says, Taylor's pick is the highest of all compensatory picks so far. Manhurt shows up as 7th rounder, but doubt that sticks. Okay, Okay, so they do have some sort of secret metric. That's crazy. Agnew to Etienne is a huge downgrade for kick/punt returner. I'd rather draft a corner with the 25th pick, says DJM. P-Jack says he's with DJM and out of Ferris State, so he should be good against wheel routes. Great. That sounds like a question for Patrick's podcast, the Long Snapper Pod. Some sort of trivia question about which colleges also share the names with carnival rides. That may be something you could put into your next show there, Patrick. But I do always enjoy your trivia. It's nice and challenging. Patrick and me did go head-to-head on trivia one time on a podcast. And just so everyone knows, I beat him. Okay? I did beat him. So that's all I'm going to say. It wasn't by a lot, but I did. So sorry, Patrick. I like to gloat when I win in competitions. And this is me gloating. Nick Ludwig, channel member, says, I'm sold. Let's sign him. Yes, Nick. Yes. Jarrett Williams says, absolutely not. We do not need Etienne taking hits on kickoffs too. Now, Jarrett brings up a good point because every time Etienne got hit just running the ball, it seemed like he was getting absolutely destroyed. Like, I know he's the same size as Alvin Kamara, but they're not that big. I mean, they're, again, like 5'10", 210, something like that. So they're not huge. So maybe you have a point there, Jarrett. DJM says, I don't want Shaq Griffin 2.0 signing in free agency. Me neither. That'd be terrible. I'm drafting a guy like Joey Porter Jr. if he's there at 24. Sorry, D. Williams. You're going to have to move inside. He will only be here for so long anyways. So you're saying just like draft an outside corner and move Williams inside. I guess my only question, and the answer could be in your statement, where you said Joey Porter Jr., but is there a guy that you could get at 24 who could be a starter on the outside? The answer could be yes. The answer could be no. It's a hypothetical I'd like you guys to answer because we don't know how it's going to unfold, but like, what are the chances a guy lands at 24 that could be a starting outside corner in the NFL? 40, 30%, 20%, 20 to 40%? P-Jack says, 100% agree with Jarrett Etienne on kick returns. It's 5 hours, 10 minutes until I have to get up for work, Jason. It's fine. Ah, man. Well, listen. Just as long as you show up, you're good. That's been my MO for work my whole life. Just show up. I heard some quote, something percent of it is showing up. Quote about showing up. Percentage. Woody Allen. 80% of success is showing up. One of my favorite quotes of all time. Just show up. Just show up. Listen, I tell people this all the time, man. It's people don't like to admit it, but laziness is really hard to overcome. It's one of the hardest temptations to overcome. Like it is. Whatever that looks like in your life. So show up. Start showing up. That's it. Just show up. Even if you're tired, grumpy, show up. All right. There's your life lesson. One per show guaranteed. It's part of the channel member perks. When you sign up to be a channel member, you're signing up for a life lesson once per day. Just kidding. I love you, channel members, and everyone else. Daniel Greer. Sorry, you're right. Looks like formula weighs free agent departures against acquisitions and provides some sort of compensatory picks at the round. I was confused with traded picks. Goofball me. Daniel, listen, you're trying, and I appreciate it. Because if you wouldn't have given me the information, I wouldn't have known. So thank you. P-Jack says, Doug said he likes his running backs to contribute. I did see that. He wasn't specifically talking about ETN. Okay. We definitely should draft a corner with our first pick. I mean, so here's the question I have about that, and this is an AFC South show, and we're almost 30 minutes in, and we have not talked about the other AFC South signings. I will. If you're here for that, if you're another AFC South team, and you're here watching this, it's coming. I promise. And Calais Campbell, because I promised Calais Campbell. The problem with taking a corner first is, again, I'm an analytics guy. Who's going to play more snaps? Now, hear me out. Who is your sixth offensive lineman right now? Tyler Shatley? Ben Barch? Whichever one's not starting? You got to think about a sixth offensive lineman. I get on this soapbox almost every show. Think about your sixth offensive lineman when you start the season. Going into training camp, looking at your roster on paper, and you're looking at your starting five. And then you have your next best offensive lineman. I can't think of a time when that guy, that sixth guy on paper at the beginning of the season, didn't play at least 50% of the snaps, whether it be injury, rotation. No one finishes the season with all five guys. So if you have a guy who you're already iffy about with his contract with Cam Robinson, if you have a guy who's getting paid a lot of money in Brandon Sheriff, is it not worth going after, one more guy just to kind of potentially have to relieve those contracts? Now, I think they restructured Sheriff, so I think they're done with that. Like he's here for a long time, but you still do have a question mark at left guard. You have a second-year guy playing center who I know is good. Like I know he's good. I know what he showed, but still, he's second-year guy. And then Walker Little at right tackle. So I think that offensive line spot is going to be huge for us. Who plays more snaps and who's more important? That's been the question. Listen, I think the nickel corner, because it's a passing league, typically would be your answer. But if you're a team who's going to win because your quarterback and the entire role of the franchise, and I've been saying this since he was drafted, the entire role of the franchise, and this is the reason why Urban Meyer got fired, the entire role of the franchise is to protect and support Trevor Lawrence. That is your goal. That is what you're going to have to do. I don't care who's playing nickel corner. I really don't. Trey Herndon, bring him back. Gregory Jr., the Wachita Baptist rookie last year who didn't play at all. Let's not, Monteric Brown, old Buster, right? Everyone was all big on him. I don't care. Throw them in. but I don't want to roll out some rookie, washed, backup right tackle because injury-ridden Walker Little got hurt again. That's what I don't want. So, yeah, draft an offensive lineman eventually. Yeah, you could make that argument. Second, third, fourth round. But to me, I kind of feel like there's going to only be a certain amount of time before that guy is protecting Trevor Lawrence. So freaking get the best one you can get. Maybe that's wrong and maybe that's flawed. That's how I feel. Calais Jag says, how's it going, bro? Well, contrary to the brand, things are going great. Ron Beatrey says, shout out to Jacob of the Cardiac Cats YouTube channel. One of the best Jaguars. Oh, I haven't even checked them out. Cardiac Cats, is he? Oh, I'll check it out. I need to subscribe. Ben Haney, vague and cryptic tweets from NFL players are annoying. Yeah, they are. Jagator, getting a starting outside corner at 24 is usually tough, but this seems like a deep defensive draft class. Lucky for us. Woody Allen is definitely an interesting fellow, says Nick Ludwig. Jaguars, I need to show up to the gym. Just show up, Jags United. Listen, boys, listen. Some people think Indy is gearing up to get Lamar. Ooh, should we transition to the AFC South on that? I'm looking for transitions. Let me read Patrick's here, and then we'll transition. The entire role of the franchise is to protect and support Trevor Lawrence, which is why it's so stupid that our new practice facility still isn't ready 2 years into this guy's career. Hey, Patrick, don't worry. The Jags can practice at Episcopal High School. It's about 3 miles away from the stadium, maybe 2 miles. High school, great facilities. Great facilities for a high school. All right. Cardiac Cats has only started like a month and a half ago, so no worries. Cardiac, bro. I just like to support other channels as much as I can. I've gone on like 100 channels. So, not 100, but any Jag channel that asks me to come on, I try. I try to. The more Jags channels, the better for me. I mean, I'm Jags United. I'm not Jags solo. No. All right, let's transition to the AFC South. I don't want to talk about the Colts, DJM. I don't. Not yet. All right. I know Stephen Gilmore's gone. I'll talk about the Texans. Can we talk about the Texans for a second? Can we talk about the Texans? Case Keenum, obviously. Like, how have you identified your backup mentor before you even know who your quarterback is? That's impressive. That's impressive for Case Keenum. 2 years, $6 million contract. It's about $4 million guaranteed. Yeah, great. I like Case Keenum. Noah Brown, 1 year, $2 million contract, wide receiver. Not a big deal. Robert Woods, a little bit bigger. 2 years, $15 million, $10 million guaranteed. The big trade, they traded for Shaq Mason from the Bucks. I think it was like a 7th round pick or something like that. Now, although it is Shaq Mason's like 3rd team in 3 seasons, I like that pick. Listen, I like what the Texans are doing. Okay, I like what the Texans are doing. I would have kept Lovie Smith. I would have kept Pep Hamilton. I like those guys. But listen, you can't hate for what they're doing right now. They're obviously trying to make a splash early. I mean, Robert Woods, Shaq Mason. You know, I know Shaq Mason was with Nick Caserio, the Texans GM, when he was like Caserio was a part of that front office that drafted Mason. So they re-signed Quessenberry, their center. I actually like Quessenberry. They signed edge Chase Winovich. Is expected to sign there. I mean, that's a decent edge player there. Jimmy Ward expected to sign there. So I mean, they're definitely going after players. And listen, I'm all for it. I like the Texans. It's hard to hate the Texans. Cardiac Cats, I'm sub 141. We'll give you a listen tomorrow. Heck yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody go sub Cardiac Cats. Here. Cardiac Cats YouTube. Listen, I'm always trying to get other Jags YouTube channels here. Sign into chat. Okay, yeah. Go I think this is it right here. I like it. Do it. Go subscribe. Subscribe right now. Nice job, Cardiac. Keep it going. Keep it going. Listen, The Woody Allen quote about showing up, that goes to podcasting and recording as well. Okay, 80% is just going up there. Don't get lazy. Listen, everybody wants to start the shows. You got to be consistent. That's the key. Consistency is the key in this game. All right? Consistency. Show up 80% of the time. All right, so Texans made the most of their free agent couple days. That's for sure. I like what they're doing. Now, by no means do I think they'll be even close to competitive with us this year. No way. Don't judge the straw, okay? Do not judge the straw. There's a reason I have a straw. I have thousands of dollars of equipment around me. I'm not going to drink like a Neanderthal. And here's my problem. It's not the drinking. The problem is when I do my expressive gestures, because I talk with my hands more than anybody on earth, when I do those gestures, it's only a matter of time before my fat elbows knock over my cup and liquids going everywhere. Now, I have too much money and equipment around me to be doing that, all right? So do not judge my straw. And if you think about judging my straw, I would do the same thing, so that's why I addressed it. All right, Jagator. How does Case Keenum have a job over A.J. McCarron throwing dots in the XFL? Dude, listen. Let's go. A.J. McCarron, Alabama great. Your thumbnails are fire. That's a good start. Yeah, I know. I need help with mine, but again, that's just one of those things I'm probably never going to do. You know, I may pay someone one day to do it, but yeah, Joey, consistency. Listen, don't bring Joey up. I haven't even talked to Joey in a long time, man. I miss him. All right, so Texans, I'm going to grade what they've done in 2 days. I'm going to give them a B. A B. Because although Questenberry's good and Chad Mason's good, they're B-type players. All right, the Colts. Everyone just loves talking about the Colts. Stephon Gilmore, gone. Not the team anymore. They signed some edge rusher, Ty Lewis, to a 1-year deal, like $2 million. EJ Speed is re-signing. Now, I like EJ Speed. Again, good player. 2 years, $9 million. Not much yet. Here's where the Colts made their splash so far. Kicker Matt Gay. 4 years, $22.5 million. They paid a kicker $22.5 million. I can guarantee you that Doug Peterson will never, ever pay a kicker more than a couple $1 million a year. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Listen, he rolled into the week 6 without a kicker. So, kicker is obviously not important to Doug Peterson. I always laugh when teams do that because, I mean, even a guy like who's the Ravens kicker? Lee. I know it's not. Everyone watching right now is like yelling the name Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker. I almost said Matt Stover for all you old heads. Justin Tucker. Even a guy like Justin Tucker, like, how much money are you really worth? Now, I know if you go by points relative to other players who get paid and don't score points, you may have an argument. But I don't know. I would need to do a little more research on whether. I know, Patrick. I know. I did do a little more research on that dollar value. King David says, hello, better late than never, Duval. Let's go, King David. Matt, I'm glad you're here. Matt Ludwig says, Matt Gay better be making kicks from 60-plus yards. Seriously. Like, I feel like you could roll out, like, anybody nowadays, and they could hit 60-yarders. Like, I know it's a hyperbole. I actually saw Josh Lambo at TPC, the golf tournament here in Ponte Vedra. And, you know me. So I live, story time. You can fast forward this if you want, if you're on VOD. I live like 2 miles from TPC Sawgrass, the golf tournament. So I go every year. It's amazing. It's awesome. Got to go this year, 2 days. I love golf. So awesome to see Scotty Scheffler win. And I got to see Josh Lambo. Ron DeSantis was there. Trevor Lawrence was there. There a lot of big time. And I heard other people were there, but didn't see them. But still, I did say Lambo when Lambo walked by, and he didn't even like acknowledge me. So that was a little sad. It was a little sad because I feel like I got big timed, and maybe I didn't get big timed. Maybe he had people yelling his name all day, and I was just like the last one on the last day, and he was just sick of it. Listen, maybe I can play devil's advocate. At the same time, I didn't see anyone recognize him when I was around him. I mean, at least like a high five or like a nux or a dat. You can't dat me up. Come on. Janikowski. Oh, Sebastian Janikowski, first round pick. I remember that was good. Heck, I've kicked conversions from 40, but I don't know how different NFL balls are from rugby balls. Dang, Patrick. Hey, Trent. What would you think of King Henry joining the Jaguars and having a 1-2 punch with Etienne and Henry? That would be amazing. It would be awesome. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think the Titans are trying to eat any of his contract. I think if they get rid of him, they're expecting the team to take on his contract because he is a, great player. So that would be the biggest issue. Not to mention, I don't think the Jags view Etienne as a third down back or receiving back, and that's what he would be in that situation or that scenario. And the scenario that we currently have, JaMycal Hasty's the third down receiving back. I mean, we saw Hasty play a lot of snaps against the Chiefs because they threw the ball a lot. So I think they look at Etienne as that Derrick Henry type back. And if you brought in Derrick Henry, I think he would take snaps away from Etienne rather than be a 1-2 punch. Only because I don't think they trust Etienne in the passing game, whether it's blocking, shallow route running, whatever it is that he can't do well. They don't trust. They just don't trust him. DJM says, I miss Lambeau. He was a character. Nick Ludwig says, do you golf at Sawgrass ever? I would love to if I'm ever in the area. I've never played TPC Sawgrass. Now, Jacksonville is the golf hub of the world. We have so many courses around here that are amazing. We have amazing courses down here I've never even played. TPC Sawgrass. Pablo Creek is a really private course down here that like every professional in North Florida is a member at. Guys like Cam Smith play there. Fred Funk plays there. All these guys that live here play there. It's really private. One day I'll play there. Atlantic Beach Country Club is a private course that's amazing. It was on the web.com tour for a number of years. So much golf down here. It's insane. Yeah, you should come down here and play some golf. I was at the PGA Championship in St. Louis in 2018. I was the only one by Dustin Johnson as he was walking to 18 T-Vox, and I said how awesome it was to watch him, and he completely ignored me. I remember seeing Dustin Johnson in Jacksonville, Palm Beach, or TPC Sawgrass, and he's a lot bigger than I thought he was. I mean, he's big, and he seems like the kind of guy that would ignore you. He's just like that. Jackson says Etienne is a Derrick Henry type back, only a number of carries per game, and size and productivity and college resume. Henry would thrive in our offense. What would happen if whatever happened to the DeAndre Hopkins talk? Could we afford him with our current cap space? I don't think it's more about the money. I think it's more about the reps. I mean, because now that Ingram's back, who do you have that you have to get the ball to? Ridley, Kirk, Jones, Ingram, Etienne. You're talking about a guy. Where are you going to insert him in there? After Kirk, realistically? Maybe after Ridley. So now you got Ridley, Kirk, Hopkins, Kirk. Now Zay Jones is getting like no snaps. I think you're paying Zay Jones too much money for that. And I think he's too good. I'd rather have Zay Jones than what we have here. Zay, Kirk, Ridley, and Easy are solid enough. More than solid enough. Best restaurant in Jacksonville. Anyone let me know. Depends on what type of food you're looking for there, Jag Gator. Because I could give you, I lived in Jacksonville my whole life. Best restaurant depends on, what kind of food you're in the mood for. I think if you were to ask anybody, I'm a beach guy. I grew up in Jacksonville Beach, live in Jacksonville Beach. That's kind of where I'd stay. There's a Mexican place called Taco Lu in Jacksonville Beach, and it's going to be the most popular one. Everyone's going to recommend it to you. Any Google search, it'll come up. but it lives up to its name. Really good food, great people, great time. It's popping there every night. I love it. Is this a football channel? Ron, this is, I know. And yes, Jason, we definitely need high quality O-line players. We're going to need them very soon. Thank you. All right, sorry. Thank you, Ron, for transitioning me to the final team in the AFC South, and that's the Tennessee Titans, who have made only 2 moves so far. Andre Dillard signing to a 3-year, $29 million deal, offensive tackle. I'm actually was big on Andre Dillard coming out of college, and I'm not so big on Andre Dillard anymore. I mean, he's okay. And Azeez Al-Shahir, honestly, I don't know much about him. I can't remember much about him, so hopefully he's a good player for the Titans, but for us, hopefully he's not. This is definitely a 9-8 team that has first place schedule next year. Feel like we need a little bit more aggressiveness in free agency. I just don't know if we have the money, Ben. I don't know. I mean, that's the only problem is I don't know if we have the money because the restructuring does create cap space, but at the same time, it kind of hurts us down the road a tad. So let's not kill ourselves there too bad. All right. I want to talk about Calais Campbell. After I give Jesus is King a huge thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you, Jesus King. I appreciate that. It's been a while since I have seen you, so I'm glad to see you here. How many years are we away from a Super Bowl run? So I think next year we potentially could be on a Super Bowl run, and if we don't win next year, the year after is probably the last year with our greatest chances before they start going down. Trevor Lawrence is going to have to be extended after that. You're looking at guys like Cam Robinson probably off the team by then. I mean, think about this team in not next year, but the year after. Not a lot of these guys on the team. Kirk gone, Sheriff gone, Robinson gone. I mean, it's a whole new looking team. So you have this year, you have next year, and they're treating it that way with the way, but they are restructuring the deals of these guys like Aluakon, these guys like Brandon Sheriff, Kirk, by guaranteeing them their full contract past the guaranteed. They're saying it's now or never. Now, can you draft well and overcome that? Absolutely. But this franchise hasn't proven to draft well yet, but they may be on their way. So we'll see. I mean, drafting well cures everything. Like, drafting well cures every problem your team could have. Like, a coach who gets fired halfway through his first season, drafting well fixes that. A team that's outside of their contracts and then they're over the cap, drafting well solves that. Teams that make mistakes when they sign free agents, drafting well solves that. So drafting well is the key. So, Balky, I don't know, man. But thank you, Jesus King. I really appreciate it. Listen, you've donated to this channel a lot. So, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I know you're a huge Jags fan, and I love that you're here. Thank you. Jag Gator says, the Chiefs just signed defensive tackle Amon Wehu. If you can't succeed with the Eagles' offensive line coach, you can't succeed anywhere else for Andre Dillard. Jason Todd says, I got it wrong with a lot of other fans with the moves Balky made last year. I trust him if he doesn't pull the trigger on any big names in free agent. Now, Jason, here's the thing, and here's where I'm just not sure. Again, I don't want to make any claims that make me seem like I haven't thought things through, because I like to think things through. But I don't know the power between Trent Baalke and Urban Meyer last year. I'm pretty sure that Urban Meyer came in with carte blanche, room to make moves in the draft and free agency. I'm pretty sure he was owner and GM. I can't imagine him coming out of retirement for any other situation. So I think that he probably had the final say between Baalke and Meyer. So how much impact did he have? Was he the one making the moves? Was he an advisor role? I honestly don't know. And maybe it doesn't even affect how you guys feel about Baalke. Maybe it doesn't. But there is a conversation worth having on how much power did Urban Meyer have versus Trent Baalke. Bob in the World says, Trevor's a guy who will elevate whoever we replace those guys with for less money. So you would say invest in the defense and let those guys go? Brandon Jones. Hey, Jags United. What's up, Brandon? Why are we not pursuing rotational D tackles or DN since we are losing like 3 or 4? So I think in the first couple days, those guys don't typically come off the board. I think they might have some like pie in the sky type guys. They're kind of low balling to see if they'll take a discount to go to a contender, probably on days 1, 2, and 3. And then once the next couple days in the week, you see some of those guys getting snagged up. I think that's typically how it goes. So maybe that's why, but maybe they're just not. Have we released Griffin yet? Yes, we did. We did release Griffin, or we're expected to. I don't know. Yeah, I think we did, though. Yes, we did. Christian, are you worried about our lack of pass rush? Yes, but I think that they'll address it. I mean, Trevon Walker's going to get better. Josh Allen's going to get better. I like Roy Robertson Harris. But, yeah, I am. That's another position you're going to have to address in the draft or free agency. I mean, you're definitely going to have to address corner, defensive line, and offensive line with your free agent moves and draft picks. You're going to have to. Absolutely have to. I'm worried about all 3 of those positions. Nick says, I think it's a coincidence that our 2021 draft was spectacular. Meyer definitely had a lot of input. 22 draft is very lackluster compared to 21. That's fair. I think Sean Murphy Bunting would be an awesome signing if we can get him for relatively cheap. Jags 11-6, says Eddie. Oh, well, if Eddie said it, then that's it. All right, quickly on Calais Campbell. And we're going to end it with that, because we got more shows coming this week. Calais Campbell just got cut by the Ravens. Is he a guy that we go after? Is he a guy that you think could potentially help this team? I honestly couldn't even put a value on what his cap may be. I would look at one of those spoke track, but they're always wrong. They said remember they said Juwan Taylor's value was like $11 million, and we were like, no, that's not even close. All right, so obviously the big thing holding him up is the 37 years old next year. But 6'8", 307, man. Talking my language right there. Look at his PFF grades from last year. I mean, pretty consistent. I mean, when you look at a 76.9, that's a pretty good grade on 583 total snaps. That's probably half. You think of guys like Aluakon, who played most of the snaps, and Tyson Campbell played most of the snaps. They played like 1,200 snaps. So 583, you're looking at about half. Rotational defensive player. Really good defensive grade, I think, at a 76.9. Run defense, 74. The tackling grade always gets kind of washed out. Like, it's easier to get a bad tackling grade than a good tackling grade when it comes to PFF, because trust me, I follow PFF pretty closely. Decent pass rush grade. 6 sacks. Like, that's good. Not to mention he had a 5-game run where he had 5 sacks in a row from weeks 6 to weeks 12. 17 hurries, 12 hits, 2 batted balls, only 19 tackles. That's obviously not a lot, but the pressures and the hits probably worth it from the interior. So I don't know. I mean, I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. I mean, maybe another team pays him more than we can. Would be the only reason why. I could see if us and the Broncos offered him the same amount of money, I could see him going to the Broncos because he's from Denver, and that's the kind of stuff that he does, because he was considering it until the Jags offered him more money. So, I don't know. Did you see the tweet from the Vikings guy that said Zadarius Smith is the guy the Jags want? Any proof of that? I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen any mock drafts yet? Are we projected to draft a corner, tackle, D-tackle in the first round? So, DJ, everything that I've seen mocks, because I've looked at a bunch of them, have us taking a corner. I mean, every once in a while you'll see one with like an edge player randomly, and then a defensive tackle sprinkled in. But corner and edge have been like what I'm seeing the most of, for sure. So, We'll see. Well, hey, guys, I think that's it for this show. But listen, I appreciate it. Like, I had a great time talking Jags with you guys. I appreciate Jesus is King with the $5 super chat. You know, it always helps the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. The channel members, Nick Ludwig, Nolly Full Cab. Who else did we have in here? Cardiac Cats. Go subscribe to him. Appreciate you guys being in here. You guys are always awesome. You guys make it go around, and I really, really appreciate it. Patrick Jackson gets a special shout-out tonight because we are graced with Patrick Jackson's presence. Go follow The Full Send podcast. I'm going to go just do it right now so you guys can see it because this will give you our long snapper, not full send, long snapper pod. And look at that, changing the screen because that's how good we are at hitting the correct keys on the keyboard. Here it is right here. Long snapper pod. They're hard to understand because they're British, but they're really, really good. Really, really good. Love their stuff. I listen to all their shows. They know more about NFL football than any American. It's insane the amount they know. So go give them a follow, and it'll be definitely worth your time. Super funny people. Super funny guys. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are the best. Make sure to follow everything. Subscribe to everything. I'm actually going to jump on Twitch here in about 10 minutes. I'm going to jump on Twitch. So hit up my Twitch channel. We'll talk more Jags or whatever else you guys want to talk about. You know, life lessons, you know, whatever you want to do. Woody Allen, whatever. Thank you guys. I love you guys